Now I have epidemiologist Dr. Raywat Deonandan. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Okay, so it sounds like it's pretty quiet. What do you think about this new approach? It definitely eliminates the long, winding lineups. Is that a sign it's working?
Who knows? There's some pros and cons here. The big pro is that fewer lineups and maybe less stress in the lineup and maybe a lesser chance of being infected while you're lining up. I don't know. The big con, of course, is we don't know who we're discouraging from being tested. It's hoped that we're discouraging the casual person with no reason to suspect they're infected, but we might be discouraging people who are symptomatic who need to get tested. So that's pretty unclear still.
Ontario is dealing with a major backlog of tests, and the provincial government, as you know, is now sending some of its tests south of the border. We're shipping them to the United States to be processed. What do you think of that?
What to say, right? I mean, it tells us that we haven't got enough resources and that we're paying through the nose for additional resources. I don't know what these tests are costing to ship to the U.S. The taxpayers probably would want to know this, and that money could be better spent in maybe building our own capacity here domestically.
I also wonder how long it'll take to get the test results back, because you got to ship them and then you have to get them shipped back. And I wonder if that will contribute to longer wait times.
Well, the shipping shouldn't be too much of a big deal because we're already shipping tests around the province, and getting the results back should be instantaneous if it's electronic.
Okay. So in your opinion, I mean, you thinking we should probably beef up our lab capacity here before doing that?
Well, I think we should do that now for sure. This is all catching up. We should have beefed up our lab capacity a long time ago. We should have hired more HR. We should have bought reagents. So this is a Band-Aid solution in the meantime. I hope they're doing that surge capacity in the meantime.
My thing that I'm worried about when it comes to the appointment-based bookings, I like it. I think, we're using technology that we probably should have used before, but I'm just worried about people getting frustrated going online and then not being able to book for longer and longer windows of time.
Yeah, that's true. That is the danger here, which is why I like the fact that the Brewer Center is still accepting walk-ups. We've got to have some flexibility in the system. As you noted, there's some people who don't have computers, homeless people, for example. So we have to be able to accommodate those individuals.
What do you think of the numbers lately?
Well, they're bad, and they're going to look better in the short run because we're testing less. Don't be fooled by that.
Right.
Keep in mind that the cases are going up, but the hospitalizations are trending up and the death rate is going up. It's the hospitalizations that we should really be concerned about. That's what's threatening this whole house of cards here. Keep in mind that back in March, everything was closed. Schools were closed. Procedures were being delayed. So we had more capacity back then. We have no additional capacity now, and we have flu season. So the ability to absorb COVID cases in the hospital is limited.
Take me into the active cases and hospitalizations in Ottawa and tell me what you specifically are seeing in the numbers that is worrying to you.
Well, we are seeing some younger people who are hospitalized. I've been monitoring a couple of cases. I mean, I have no intimate knowledge. I just see the data everybody else sees. But, those younger cases I think have been released. I do know that some of this capacity issue has to do with the way we've restructured long-term care centers. Because long-term care centers, to be safer now, have fewer people per room, and a lot of that excess burden, as it were, is being absorbed by the hospitals, and that's eating up some bed space. So I'm told by my contacts in hospitals in Ottawa that we are at our capacity, that we cannot absorb any more COVID cases. I mean, we probably can absorb a few, but we're in crisis mode, and people have to reduce their exposure significantly to avoid having a tragedy unfold in our hospitals.
We're chatting right now with Dr. Raywat Deonandan, an epidemiologist. The message today from the province was the same as the one that we got from Dr. Vera Etches, which is stick to your household for Thanksgiving. Do you think that is going to prove to be effective?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I don't think people are going to follow it to a large extent. I'm stupidly optimistic, as I keep saying, and I have faith in my human being, but it's getting less and less every day because I'm hearing stories of parties being planned all the time. Everyone I know has canceled their big Thanksgiving dinners. And I want to say that if you don't live in that house, don't go to that house. But there must be accommodation for people who live alone and who are desperately in need of human contact. And in those scenarios, there are things we can do to mitigate our risk. dine outdoors if you can, for example, or really distance in the dining establishment that you go to. But I'm hopeful that most people will do the right thing, but I'm skeptical these days because I'm not seeing a lot of compliance across the province.
Okay, so anecdotally, I'm hearing from a lot of people who are canceling their big family dinners. They were planning on having family members inside. But, I wonder, I apologize. That's my dog and I'm working from home. Last time it was your child. Now it's my dog. This is the reality, the perils of working from home. So I want to talk about the one thing that Dr. Vera Etches said, which is that legally, you can have up to 10 people gathered in your backyard. Now, would I have that many? Absolutely not. But I want your medical opinion on this because she was saying just don't have anybody for a gathering, even if it's outside. And I'm wondering, scientifically speaking, why not 3 or 4 people? If you're distanced, you're not sharing food. We've heard from the science before that if you're distanced, if you're wearing a mask, if you're not touching, if you're not sharing food, if there's good ventilation, then you're not as at risk. And I'm just a little bit perplexed by that piece of advice. Your thoughts on it?
I go into dangerous territory here. I agree with you. I think the risk is small. What we have to balance here is the simplicity of the messaging versus what is probably manageable. It's probably manageable to have 3 or 4 people in your house. If you're distanced, if you're wearing masks, if you're outside, all that stuff. The risk is not zero. It's just very, very small. But the danger there is everyone starts playing at the fringes of those guidelines and start pushing them further. It's easier to simply say, just don't have people over. And that's a simpler message to absorb. What we're finding is people have a hard time digesting the complicated message.
Right, I see. So you're saying it's just easier to do that because then people aren't having massive gatherings of 20 and 25 people.
Yeah, because I'm finding that people are listening to the exact legalese of the verbiage and trying to push the fringes of what's allowed. And not following the spirit of the guidelines. So unfortunately, it does come down to sometimes saying, just do this and don't do that. Mm-hmm. But people are adults, and I hope they use their adult thinking to act on their own cognizance.
I guess I just worry that we're demonizing all sorts of social interaction, and we may be lumping in people who are responsible with people who are problematic. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you really frustrate people who take great pains, take great efforts to follow the rules, and they start to feel frustrated. And I would hate for public health advice, which is so important, to become white noise because people get angry.
That's a really good point. And we're still trying to figure out how to deploy this messaging without, pissing off the people who are trying to do the right thing, without pushing away people who don't respond well to authority figures, while at the same time making the message understandable to most people. No one knows how to do this right. We're figuring that out in real time.
It's a delicate, risky little dance, isn't it?
Exactly.
I want to get your take before I let you go on the American president. He's back at home. His helicopter landed at the White House around 6:30 last night. And today they're saying that he doesn't have any symptoms. And that's according to his doctor. He's back at home. And they're saying that he's doing very well. He had urged people last night, don't be afraid of the virus. I'm going to tell you all about this. Today he is reporting no symptoms and says he plans to attend next week's presidential debate. That seems like a pretty short bout of COVID.
Well, a few things here. First, I'm not a physician. I'm an epidemiologist, so I can speak about this from a population health dynamic. We don't know when his last negative test was. So this could be day 3, day 5, day 10 of his infection. We have no idea. So the trajectory is unclear. Number 2, he had some powerful experimental drugs. Most importantly, Regeneron, which you know nothing about, which could have shortened his symptoms. We have no idea. So this may not be a typical trajectory for a given person. And number three, they could be lying. and number 4, with this disease, is between days 7 and day 10 when things tend to go south. You can go really well for a couple of days, and then suddenly the next day you have to be hospitalized. One doctor was commenting he would rather see Mr. Trump next to an ICU rather than a helicopter ride away from an ICU. That's how dangerous it is. But everyone has a different path to this disease, and maybe he has a light path. We'll see.
Right. Well, and hopefully we hope for anyone that gets this disease that they have an easier case, a more mild case than a severe one. But how long are you actually contagious for?
Oh, that's unclear.
That's unclear. We still don't know that.
Yeah, 14 to 28 days. In general, we look at their viral load, and then we'll give you 2 PCR tests within a 24-hour period to see if you test negative on both, to see if you have any viral fragments. So the science is evolving on that.
Dr. Raywat Deonandan, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Deonandan, epidemiologist and science communicator at the University of Ottawa.